Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Baghdad, lived a wise man named Bahlool Dana. Behlol was famous for his deep understanding of life and his unorthodox way of teaching lessons. People from all walks of life came to him seeking advice, including the Caliph Harun al Rashid, who was curious about Behlol's unusual ways. While many thought Behlol was a fool, those who paid close attention to his words realized that there was always a profound truth hidden in his actions. One day, the Caliph decided to test Behlol's wisdom. He invited him to the palace and, in front of a large gathering of nobles, said, "Behlol, you claim to be wise, but I have a task for you. If you can complete it, I will acknowledge your wisdom. If not, you must admit you are not as wise as people say." Behlol, with his characteristic humility, nodded and said, "What is the task, Your Majesty?" The Caliph pointed to a dead tree standing in the palace garden. "I want you to make this tree green and fruitful again," he said with a smirk, thinking it was an impossible task. The nobles burst into laughter, whispering among themselves about how foolish Behlol would look this time. But Behlol remained calm. He took a deep breath and said, "Very well, Your Majesty. I will need a few things for this task." Intrigued, the Caliph asked, "What do you need?" Behlol replied, "I need a pure-hearted, honest man who has never wronged anyone, never taken what does not belong to him, and whose intentions have always been clean. Only he can pour water on this tree to make it green again." The Caliph was puzzled, but agreed to find such a man. He announced throughout Baghdad that anyone who met these qualities should come to the palace to help Behlol with his task. But days turned into weeks, and not a single man came forward. Many were too humble to claim such purity, while others knew they could not truthfully meet the conditions set by Behlol. As time passed, the people started talking about the true meaning of Behlol's request. If such a man does not exist, how can we expect to demand perfection from others? They would say. The nobles who had laughed at Behlol's request now realized that his demand was a reflection of their own flaws. The Caliph himself began to ponder deeply. He called Behlol again and asked, "Was this your way of showing that no one is free from faults, including myself?" Behlol smiled gently and responded, "Your Majesty, it is not about finding a man without flaws. It is about understanding that our arrogance blinds us to our own imperfections. If we cannot change ourselves, how can we expect to change the world?" The Caliph, humbled by these words, embraced Behlol and acknowledged the wisdom in his actions. From that day on, he treated his subjects with more compassion and humility, always remembering the lesson taught by the fool who was wiser than them all.